Welcome to Gay Fairfax, the National Capital Area's only weekly gay cable magazine sharing news, views, and pride. I'm Barry Forbes.
And I'm Michelle Michaels. Each week we'll feature events and personalities of interest to gay men and women in Northern Virginia.
On this edition of Gay Fairfax, we'll meet Mike Young, a psychotherapist helping adult victims of childhood sexual abuse.
We'll also learn more about Sistah Neighbah, a women's social group.
But first, here's Peg McCraw with this week's gay trivia question.
Many cities and counties have passed some form of gay rights protection laws. Can you name 6 local cities or counties that passed such laws? Stay tuned for the answer at the end of the show.
Thank you, Peg. Children that are sexually abused can be emotionally scarred for life, even though the memories of this horrible experience may be deeply repressed. The unfortunate fact is that 1 out of 6 adult males were sexually abused as children. Therapists such as Mike Young are helping these men break the silence and speed the healing of their emotional scars.
Childhood is a time of innocence, a time when a child learns to love and trust others. But what happens when that trust is betrayed? Childhood sexual abuse affects 1 out of 6 men in society. In the gay community, the statistics are double. According to psychotherapist Mike Young, the scars of abuse are often hidden, but until survivors take steps to heal themselves, the pain remains.
They grow up believing that they're responsible for everything bad that goes on within the family, that it is somehow their fault that things aren't going right. They feel that others can make mistakes, but that they are mistakes. It colors their whole being and their future existence within life, within relationships.
Wayne, who was abused by a friend of his father's, suffered some of the typical effects of abuse.
I don't think I've been able to have an intimate relationship ever. I felt like I was my profession, you know, that was my image, and who my friends were and the facades around me. I never felt like I had a true identity until I got into therapy.
Many survivors of abuse were violated by someone they trusted. In Ricky's case, a babysitter. To cope, Ricky tried to block out memories of the abuse.
I didn't remember a lot of the feelings for years, and the lady who used to babysit me when I was a little kid told me what she had done to me at age 18 when she saw me in my first gay bar. Well, I buried that incident. And a little over a year ago, I started thinking about it, and I started remembering things. It was more a matter of remembering feelings before I remembered actual things that occurred. And before long, I began to remember things that had actually occurred.
Hardest for a child to accept is that a parent has hurt him. For Joe, abused by his mother, this reality affected his physical health.
What I was experiencing was the symptoms of post-traumatic stress. Nightmares. I reached a point where I wasn't even able to sleep. I'd gone a whole week without sleep, and the sleep deprivation brought about a serious depression for me, and I was at one point even suicidal. I was also experiencing some other symptoms, high blood pressure. I learned that I had an ulcer, and just a general feeling of anxiety, never feeling comfortable. And I didn't understand what was causing this. And had gone to a number of doctors thinking there was a physical basis for this. And I learned that, I mean, they could find nothing wrong. And I had to come to terms with the fact that maybe there was something psychological that was at the base of this.
Ricky, Wayne, and Joe are part of a support group formed by therapist Mike Young to help them come to terms with the wounds of their pasts.
The sexual abuse issue is major the symptoms that people come in with are adjunctive. It's very interesting that once people begin to talk about their sexual abuse, get a chance to really express how they're feeling, many of these symptoms tend to abate or lessen.
I never sought help for this until I got into therapy with Mike. I kept that a secret for 28 years, and I know that the root of my alcoholism and drug abuse was based on that feeling less than everyone that I've ever met, never feeling as if I could be in an intimate relationship with anyone, never having that security or that trust in any individual. And so until a year ago, I didn't confide in anyone. I had never found an individual that I felt safe enough to confide in.
Initially, it created a great deal of anxiety for me. I felt a tremendous amount of shame and embarrassment and fear because I didn't know that other people had experienced the same things that I had gone through. But after talking and listening to other people, I had a tremendous sense of relief because I realized I wasn't alone. And it's breaking that silence that is so important.
One reason many men are afraid to speak out about their abuse is the fear it will diminish their masculinity in the eyes of others, says Young.
Our culture provides little space for a man as victim. Men are, to put it directly, not supposed to be victimized. A real man is expected to take care of himself, protect himself in most situations. He is supposed to be the controller, not the controlled, the perpetrator, not the one perpetrated upon.
Although Wayne does not believe he is gay as a result of his molestation, he once had negative feelings about homosexuality, which he associated with his past abuse.
Having heard my mother use the term queer to describe the person who was abusing me, I remember as a kid looking that word up in a dictionary and seeing that it was synonymous to homosexual, looking up homosexual and seeing that it was to be attracted and in love with the same sex. And then at that point of my life, deciding that I would never be homosexual. I would never be what that man was, if that was the definition of queer or homosexual. So I suppressed my sexuality to the extent of where I almost got married, and didn't actually come out until I was around 27 years old. And it's been only this past year through therapy with Mike and the groups that I've been involved in and 12-step programs and gay 12-step programs that I have finally come to terms and that I've finally been able to say that I'm proud to be a gay man.
In addition to helping survivors feel positive about their sexuality, therapy helps them realize that because they wanted attention, they did not invite abuse.
I've always been the one who sort of tried to blend in with the woodwork and hoping that the focus would stay off of me and that I wouldn't have to deal with all of this guilt and shame that I did not cause. And I didn't realize that until after I'd started therapy. I had taken on that responsibility myself.
Well, I think as a little child, you don't really know that it's abuse. You don't know that it's something that ought not to be happening in your life on a regular basis. I mean, when someone comes into your life and destroys your boundaries and you don't know anything about healthy boundaries from the very beginning, in my case, it's kind of, well, you just don't know.
Instinctively, I knew that what was happening to me shouldn't be happening to me. From my feeling so alone in a dysfunctional household and never really having any attention paid to me, any attention is better than no attention, I guess. And I didn't want to be abandoned by someone that I felt like had been my only friend.
Although in therapy as a group for only a short time, these men already feel changes in their attitudes about themselves and life, and they have advice for others who have been victimized.
Seek professional help, because if you don't, it shapes and molds all your relationships, and to have some freedom in your life, you really need to break those patterns, become aware of them, and then break the patterns over a long period of time, and not minimize it.
Seek some sort of counseling, probably in school. I feel like you can trust your teachers for the most part. And also pray a lot. Don't think God leaves you. You're not the sick person. The sick person is the perpetrator.
Seek help in being able to come to terms with that. It's very important to break the silence, because that's what allows this to be perpetuated, and people need to start talking.
The healing for Ricky, Wayne, and Joe has begun. They have learned to help each other and themselves by breaking the silence about their abuse. From each other, they give and take strength. They are learning that they can feel and show emotion toward other people and not get hurt by them. Like children, they are learning to trust again. Join us. The Fairfax Lesbian and Gay Citizens Association is a community organization that offers a sense of camaraderie and spirit among gay people. FLGCA sponsors various social events, fundraisers, as well as political and community projects. Don't put it off any longer. Join FLGCA today.
For your free copy of the latest FLGCA newsletter, write to us at Post Office Box 2322, Springfield, Virginia 22152, or call us right now at area code 703-451-9528.
Sistah Neighbah was founded in 1988 as an offshoot of the Passages Conference. Starting with 30 to 35 women, today the group has a membership of over 500. I recently spoke to Claire Brigidini about this fascinating and diverse group. If you're looking for a new way to meet women, there's a great way. You can do it in Arlington. It was based in Arlington, but it goes all over, and that's Sistah Neighbah. Sistah Neighbah. I have with us Claire Brigidini, one of the founders of that group. Hi, Claire.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Tell me how Sistah Neighbah started and what it does.
Well, basically, Sistah Neighbah started as an outgrowth of the Passages Conference, which most people know about, but basically it's a conference on aging and ageism among lesbians, and a lot of people think that that group just deals with aging, but it's an all-day workshop, and they have about 50 different workshops actually on a variety of subjects. And in 1988, they decided that they wanted to continue that idea of community the rest of the year. And so they asked some of the women who had attended the conference if they would be interested in starting what are essentially the zip code groups. And so some women in my neighborhood went, and I met them. I didn't know them before. And we started, they gave us basically the names of people in certain zip codes, and we were going to do them separately, but since there were about 10 names in each zip code, we decided we'd do it together, and that's how it got started. We had about 30 to 35 names, and we started with that, and we've got about 150 names on our mailing list now.
Great. Is this a social group?
It's basically a social group. I think it's my wish to sort of move it more into some of the either community things or community political related things in Arlington. I think that would be real helpful to our community, obviously, to do that. And we try to do that.
You're based in Arlington, but your outreach is beyond that?
Yes, actually, the majority of the women are in Arlington, but we do have women on our mailing list in Fairfax, in Alexandria, in the district, and even other parts of the country.
Wow. Anyone can get on your mailing list. It's just a matter of
sure.
interest.
Just absolutely.
What kind of women?
We'd like to keep the majority in Arlington. That would definitely be my desire.
What kind of women come to these functions?
Well, they're basically women from all walks of life, different all different professions, different age groups, singles and couples. We've got Latina women. We have had a few black women. We'd like to get more. We'd like to get some more younger women. I think the age group is probably in the late 30s or early 40s. We'd also like to get some really older women too, you know, in their like 70s, for instance, would be great. That would be great.
That would be great. What kind of things do you all do?
Well, essentially, they're brunches. We have brunches about once a month, and they're potluck brunches, and all lesbian things are potlucks, obviously. But we've done other things. We've had ski trips, rock climbing, and we try to do a dinner dance. That was one of the best attended things that we had. And so we'll do basically whatever anyone is willing to help in organizing. I mean, with the mailing list, I mean, essentially you can let people know that you're doing things, and if they wish to participate, they can, if they, you know, if they want to.
So it's all volunteer and kind of ad hoc, whatever inspires the group gets done.
And whatever someone is willing to help organize and get the word out about.
You have a mailing list for a newsletter?
Yeah. We have a newsletter called the Sistah Neighbah Chronicle. And we basically, I was doing that, all the typesetting and writing, and I still do the writing, but now we have a really terrific person, J.T. Ellis, doing the layout and design and the typesetting on it, and she's just doing a fabulous job. Looks great.
How would someone contact you, and your name is where?
Well, basically, the name is under Sistah Neighbah in the Washington Blade in their resource list for women. And also, we've gotten a lot of calls from the Whitman Walker Gay and Lesbian Hotline. And so those are basically the ways that they can get in touch with us. And so the phone number is there, and particularly if someone says they're in Arlington, when they call the Gay and Lesbian Hotline, they do refer them to Sistah Neighbah.
What's been one of your most fun events that you can remember?
Well, that now you're asking me personally, because and that's what I've got to answer to. I don't know what other people find fun, but I've found the ski trip was great fun. I really enjoyed that because basically I just learned how to ski, and so I had a terrific time. And I enjoyed the rock climbing. I was scared to death, but I enjoyed it.
Rock climbing where?
Carter Rock. Carter Rock.
Any injuries?
No injuries. You're basically pretty safe. I mean, you're belayed on a rope, but you try not to have to use it. But yeah, it's great fun.
Neat.
Scary, but great fun.
I bet. What else have you done?
Well, like I said, we did a couple of dances, and in the summertime we usually try to do our brunches basically outdoors and do barbecues and that sort of thing. Oh, I know a neat thing that we did that I really enjoyed that I thought was going to be a dog, but it turned out to be terrific fun, and that was we did a treasure hunt at Donaldson's Run, which is a park that goes, it's a creek that goes down to the Potomac River, and it's at a nature center. And one of the members did just a fabulous job on making up these really crazy clues that were pretty obscure, but once you took some time to figure them out and followed all the clues, you basically went from place to place and picked out the clue from the can, and then you read the clue and then decided where to go next. And we were just chasing all over the park and just had a terrific time. At least I had a terrific time. I don't know whether anybody else did, but I had a terrific time.
Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, it was.
So how do I join?
Give me your name and your phone number.
Well, that's easy. I know how to do that. So if you all would like to join Sistah Neighbah, call this wonderful woman or her answering machine. Yeah. And they're listed in the Gay Blade and the Washington switchboard, Gay switchboard. So
I'd be happy to give my number on the air as well, because I mean, basically they can leave it on my message machine. It's area code 703, since it is in Arlington, and it's 243-3143.
And it's for women in Arlington and Fairfax. You'll let us go to Fairfax and
Absolutely.
D.C. and wherever. Oh, good.
As long as we keep it mostly in Arlington. And usually the brunches are in Arlington.
Well, great. Well, I'll see you at the next social.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm Rick Sincere with Gay Book Beat. We'll be looking at exciting and unusual books by, for, and about gay men and lesbians. Today's book, Now You See It, Studies on Lesbian and Gay Film by British film scholar Richard Dyer. About 10 years ago, Vito Russo wrote a book called The Celluloid Closet, which examined the portrayals of gay men and lesbians in mainstream films from America and elsewhere. Russo really did not look behind the scenes, however. This is what Dyer does. Dyer looks at films made by and for gay men and lesbians. That is, gay filmmakers making films for specifically gay audiences. This was something that wasn't really easy for Russo to look at when he wrote his book 10 years ago, but with archival material becoming available, Dyer has been able to unearth a number of films that are of very significant historical perspective. Dyer starts by looking at the films of Weimar Germany right after the First World War. A very famous film of that period was called Different from the Others, Anders aus der Anderen, which starred Conrad Veidt, a matinee idol who became famous in our country as the wicked Nazi major in Casablanca. Veidt portrayed a gay man who was being blackmailed, and that film was not only very popular in Weimar Germany, it eventually became banned. At the end of the Weimar period was a film made for lesbians, which also has become quite famous, Mädchen in Uniform. Between these two films, 1920 and 1933, Weimar Germany produced the bulk of films for gay audiences. They set the trend for the rest of the world, England, France, Sweden, America, and set standards for filmmaking from then on. The lesbian and gay films that Dyer examines include Genet's classics Un Chant d'Amour and Possession, which revolutionized gay cinema with their exciting, vibrant imagery and dramatic style. Dyer's book is an important contribution to film studies and to gay literature. I recommend it very highly.
Well, how'd you do with this week's gay trivia question? Here's Peg McCraw with the answer.
And how did you do? Are you up on local politics? The 6 jurisdictions are Alexandria, Virginia, Arlington County, Virginia, the District of Columbia, Howard County, Maryland, Montgomery County, Maryland, and most recently, Prince George's County, Maryland.
That wraps up this edition of Gay Fairfax. Don't forget to tune in next week at this time. For Gay Fairfax, I'm Michelle Michaels.
And I'm Barry Forbes. Thank you for joining us. And remember to keep the pride alive.